How We Win the Dairy Game with Scott Blevins. Welcome, Scott. Welcome to Dairy TV.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You're the dairy and heifer director at Wiese Brothers in Wisconsin, and there's a great story to tell here. You started with 900 cows, a simple goal to grow the business. Now you're running a large operation with 600 cows, 6,800 heifers, and managing 72 people. How did we get to this point, and what's your background, Scott?
It's a long story. I originated from Oklahoma. Went to school at Oklahoma State. Graduated with an ag education degree, and through the uh, the path of deciding not to be a teacher and a coach led me back to the dairy business, which is my dad put in large dairies all over the country, and then also managed Braum's Dairy in Oklahoma, and that's where I grew up. It's one of the first large dairies there. We had, I don't know, back in the late seventies, eighties, nineties, we milked 5, 6,000 cows, and that's where I grew up. I learned how to work efficiently in a parlor at those places. And um, that led, through different things happening in life, led me back to the dairy business. And I've been in managing dairies and at some capacity for the last 25 years, 20 years, 25 years. The years go by so fast, but somewhere in there, 20 to 25 years. And so I ended up here in Wiese Brothers. And we were 900 to 1,000 cows, and the goal was to, well, first let me say that the dairy was owned by three brothers. Actually, there were more brothers involved, but they either passed away or they've retired. And now the two main brothers is Mark and Dave Wiese, and then they have two sons and a nephew, and myself. And so I run this part of the business for them and have for the last almost 17 years. We started with a 900 to 1,000 cows. I'll get back to that. And the idea was to get it up to their standards on a performance level to get it. And we did that. And then the next phase was to grow it. And we grew it from that size to 65 to 6,700 cows. Today we're 66, 70 total cows, and milking about, well, that's total lactating cows, and then about 6,800 heifers on feed. So um, along with that, we grew. Part of that growth is growing your staff, and the staff almost doubled from where we were originally, or more than doubled than where we were from originally, and that creates, half of the. Now, I would say 80% of being successful is how you manage your people, and some of the things. My background from the teaching and coaching aspects of my life were very valuable because we do those same things today. And today, Wiese Brothers farms about 7,000 acres, and there's close to 12,000 or close to 13,000 animals in the system, and 72 people work on the dairy side, and then they have a couple other entities from the trucking, farming, and then there's also a pelleting mill that they're involved in. So that has another maybe another 100 employees that are on that side of it, but 72 of the almost 200 employees work for me directly.
Was there an aha moment, like when it all came
Um,
together?
well, I think once we realized, our some of the philosophies here are a little bit different, I think, and some people, there are people, farmers that are similar to ours, but we did figure out we're efficient. Uh, run, of so much milk per stall, and and the amount of labor it took to produce that much milk out the door every day is more what drove us, or was what was the thing that we realized we were very good at. And instead of chasing 100 pounds of milk per cow, which we would like to be, and anybody in our business would like to be at that, averaging that every day, our main goal was to be efficient and be able and one of my things that Dave Wiese always told us is we produce milk for what they're paying us to produce it for, but we want to produce. And the thing that I would add to that is that's 100% right, but we want to produce as much of it as we can. And sometimes that doesn't mean it's per cow, but how much milk we can push out the door. Maybe it's in numbers based on our size, and we're able to be that efficient to get another 1,500 to 2,000 cows through our system. So that was our aha moment as we were growing. We realized that we could make some money by being super efficient, and so we're kind of a low input and high output of total milk shift, not so much as looking at the cow, even though we run about mid upper 80s. We milk about 800 jerseys in our 6,600 cows. 800 of those are jerseys milking.
So you're originally from Oklahoma, now in Wisconsin. What's the biggest difference, or how does it compare?
Well, I've been here so long. This is how I have two kids here, Wyatt and Haley, and but the difference is first and foremost is it gets a lot colder here than it does in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is more of oil and cattle, beef cattle. It's not so much it is set up for dairy based on some of the feed that can be grown there. There's parts of Oklahoma that have quite a few dairy cows, but the numbers are do not compare to Wisconsin. And saying that, and there's so many people. Almost every person that you talk to either has a family member or they're directly involved with somebody in the dairy business, whether it be in the processing side or the production side. So very, very widespread, and everyone is aware and educated to the dairy business, and that would be something that would be quite a bit different than Oklahoma.
So what about the biggest opportunity and the biggest challenge about running such a large operation?
Well, challenges, when you get to a certain size, first and foremost is people to run it. And when you involve more people, that creates a little bit more of management challenges, but that's with any industry, I would say. Benefits, and challenges also are when you get when you get the size, there's a stamp on you. Everyone's looking at it. Especially your location as being at the size can, a lot of people see it, recognize it, and a lot of that is good, and some of it isn't. But we do really well with the community and got a great reputation, and we work hard at that. Wiese's have a great name, always have for many years in this area. So we hope we can carry it on with the farm and keep that at the level it is today. And and some of the benefits are, we can control a lot of our markets, and us with marketing our products and also buying some of our supplies, working with vendors, having the numbers obviously gives you a little bit of leverage on sitting at that table, and ultimately can leads to saving money.
So manure management is something that you're able to help producers with as well. Do you have some definitive strategies?
Well, I think everybody is getting to that point to have some type of manure management, what we per se, but we have what we do is we separate our manure and run it through a accelerated compost system. Comes out and at 65 to 68% moisture, depending on the time of year, and that goes back in for bedding. It's sterile in the beginning, and obviously, we do a lot of management with that to keep the milk quality where we keep it today. But that's a big, I mean, that's a huge thing of us. It's the what beds all the animals, and then it gives us another outlet because we go back to some of the challenges that you asked earlier about being this big is got to get rid of manure, and you need the space to do it. And by decreasing some of that, being able to use it back into the system for bedding is there's a lot of benefits to that. It's challenging compared to like bedding with sand because it's organic matter and it grows lots of bacteria causing organisms that are the organisms that cause mastitis to the cows.
So let's change gears a little bit towards people management. So I think it's important, yet it's underrated. Can you talk about how managing people efficiently and effectively are key to overall organizational success in a dairy operation?
Yes, I would say here's a scenario or an example. And I think I see some of this even for us. We're always trying to improve it and be better, but I see it on a lot of operations where um, they're having challenges managing different areas because you come almost departmental when you get to these, get to a certain size. And and if you look at I don't like to use the word factory, but like in a plant where they're making cars, and you have the one part where or the one um, uh, section of the assembly line where the wheel gets put on, and then the car gets built and all the engine gets put in the windows and it gets painted, but at the end it comes off the assembly line and then the wheel falls off. But and then when that wheel falls off, you know right where to go to address that so the wheel gets put on correctly and it doesn't fall off at the end of the assembly line. So we kind of do the same flow in the dairy business or dairy in our system. Uh, from when that cow comes in as a fresh cow to the time she goes out as a dry cow, and everything that happens in between, we want really tight systems so that when that wheel isn't getting put on correctly, we can go to that specific area and correct it. And that helps maintain uh, performance and keep us moving in the right direction. Now, putting those people in place, the biggest thing is understand your people. To know them, ask the questions about just personal things so you know those people, and then try to get a gauge on what the capacity is of that person, and then you put that person in a position to succeed. And I think that is I think that's um, a scenario for most any company that's having people go out and perform, and that dictates whether the company is making money or not. And people are people are everything to it. I mean, if without good people and good staff and people that are leading that staff and recognizing talent uh, is crucial for success.
Now, what about keeping and recruiting talent? I know it's a challenge in today's labor force. Is there anything you're doing differently, or is it just the things you talked about, listening, putting people in a position to succeed?
Well, I think like with us, you always have the people that want to come and make money and be treated with respect. So, and I back up on that. I'll give you the three things I think are the most important things to provide people so that they're excited to come to work and they want to stay. First and foremost, we don't like to say this, but it's absolutely important is the money. Having a place to be very competitive. I would say overpaid, but very competitive. And then the second thing is respect. You treat the people with respect. The third thing is now this third one is doesn't apply to all people because they don't necessarily want that. They just want the money and the respect, and that's what they rather do. But the third thing is have the opportunity to move up in the company, and and that drives some of like our main people. I've said this other times. It doesn't matter if I have people, veterinarians, PhDs, from that to people that's had prior problems in life. So all kinds. But when you work here, you start in the parlor, and we start everyone there so that they understand the parlor and we get a gauge of some of the things that I mentioned before on what kind of person we have and maybe some of their work ethics, the way they think, gives us an idea of their capacity and where to place them on the farm amongst our staff. And that's crucial.
So, teamwork and corporate culture are important.
Absolutely.
Is there anything different in the dairy industry when it comes to team building, maintaining talent to other industries at all?
Well, I think um, the other industries. One thing I don't know that there is any other industry that's like us in the fact that we never shut down. We're 7 days a week. Maybe the emergency room in the hospitals are the only place. Everywhere else you can at least shut down. We can't. And so work ethic and the hours are somewhat, because there is some parts of the dairies that and farms and this industry and other industries that it still creates some hardcore work ethic to make it go. And it's not all ran by a computer, or we still have to physically work, and that can create some of its challenges in today's world, especially. And everybody knows where we, if you compare to where we were 10 years ago, I think anyone will say that that will be one of the biggest challenges with people is making sure that we can sustain that work ethic, which is hard when it's not there like it was.
So let's talk about milk quality. How do you specifically manage milk quality and why is it important?
Well, milk quality is important because first it's a healthier animal. Number two, you get paid. It's a premium. You know that it's more money to the dairy. Number three, when you look at a healthier animal, they're going to perform better. So and less cost in the sick pen and things like that. There's some absolutely financial benefits just from treatments to lost milk and just overall performance of the cow on milk production. We bring people in, like I said, doesn't matter what level of education or of what level of work experience you've had. When you come here, you work in our parlors to learn that. If you don't understand the parlor, there's really, it's hard to teach people our concepts without understanding that. And during that process, one of the first things we do is we teach people to move because we have parallels. We do not have rotary. So one of the biggest aspects to management is that we have to move the people to move the cow. And that is 90% of parlor flow, cow flow efficiencies, is getting the cow in at a safe, moving her at a safe manner and but an efficient manner, and getting her in place dictates if you're going to run 4.5 turns an hour versus 6 turns an hour, and what dictates that's the movement of the people. Then we go from putting that at priority, because if you can't move, it's not gonna work out for either one of us. Second thing would be cleaning the teat ends. When you clean teat ends, we have when we have a pretty basic routine. When a cow comes in, first cow, we use a foaming dip. And I like the foaming dip because it kind of gives a dry feeling when you wipe that, instead of putting either a dip cup or a sprayer on the teat. It seems to get more moisture on the teat, and one of the key things when you attach your unit, you want that teat clean and dry. But what we do first, part of our procedures is we pre-dip with a foamer, and then we come back and strip 3 strips on each quarter, and then we wipe front quarters, back quarters, flip the towel, hit the ends of the teats, and then wipe down the center of the udder. And then we attach the unit. Once the unit is detached, then we post dip with just a basic 0.5% with a 5% conditioner. And I'm not real big on spending a lot of money and things that are magically going to fix milk quality. We have to make sure that our units are working correctly, our milking units, and they're put on a cow that's been cleaned and dried properly. And if you do those things, you're going to be successful. Now, assuming that that's being done is different than making sure it's done 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's something we monitor, religiously, because of the kind of bedding we are dealing with. We also run a full throttle microbiology lab. We have a couple of girls in there. One specifically that's been with us a long time. She's absolutely phenomenal on identifying organisms and putting the plates together for me to review in the mornings. We do a lot of things in there. That's a whole nother discussion of how that lab integrates into our system. But it's the forefront. It's the defense. It protects us dairy in a lot of ways, from how we are feeding calves and how we're treating cows. And cows that become infected with mastitis, main thing that we do is we identify and isolate them until we can let the natural immunity work with the cow and shed the mastitis to get her back in the lineup in the pen she originated from. If she's systemically sick from mastitis, then we will look at systemically treating the cow at that point. But no anti-mammary treatments other than when we dry the cow off.
So, Scott, what about calf care and your strategies?
Okay, well, that's a great question, and we are one of the largest calf raising facilities in Wisconsin. I have a lot of calves. We keep about 600 on milk, and about 6 to at a high point we would even go around 700. But calf is born in maternity. We designed that maternity to where we could harvest the colostrum from the dam to the calf. So we feed a gallon within that first 30 minutes. I make sure that the calf gets a gallon of colostrum, and then every single calf, we'll put blood on every single calf, and then that will be ran through the lab, and we'll check the blood proteins on that to make sure that colostrum is given in a timely manner, and colostrum's been given that is clean and given on time. And those numbers will indicate whether we're doing a good job with that or not. From there, we move on into a calf barn or a calf hutch. At that point, we're feeding first 7 days. We're going to feed a bottle. We keep the calf on the bottle, and immediately we'll put a bucket in the in front of the calf, um, and a bucket holder. But we got it bottle racks, so the bucket holder has just a pinch of grain, so the calf can play with it, see it. So the first 7 days, and then we also put water in the other bucket for a calf at day one. And I'll explain how that benefits us in a minute. But the first 7 days is we feed a bottle in the morning, 2 quarts, and 2 quarts in the afternoon. And then at day 8, which they've already been exposed to the buckets, they get switched over to the bucket. And the reason I like the bottle, the first 7 days, I like that natural buffer from when the calf suck in the slobber, and that's all good stuff from a calf. And I just feel that we do better doing it that way. And then once we switch over to the buckets, there's not much labor there because they've already been exposed from that little bit of grain, the water. So then the milk goes in there. So it's a pretty easy transition. And at that point, they will bump that milk up to 3 quarts. 3 quarts in the morning, 3 quarts in the afternoon in the bucket. And then we'll run that from day 8 to day 16. Day 17, then we'll go to 4 quarts, and 4 quarts all the way, 4 quarts in the morning, 4 quarts in the afternoon, all the way to 42 days. And at 43 days, we go to once a day feeding in the morning, 4 quarts. And we'll run that to 56 days and take them off milk at that point, weaned off milk at 57. And the whole time at 57 days, we're hopefully in that 5 pounds of grain intake from there. So we also work with a veterinarian named Dr. Bellner from Waupun Clinic, and he helps us. Their lab works with our lab, training our girls, and also looking at some of the things that we will incur with calves, and making sure everything is on pace. And also Dr. Kelly Peters with Countryside Vet Clinic works with us too. But Waupun Vet Clinic has been, I didn't hit on that when we were talking about the lab, but they've been instrumental in training and helping us get set up. We've ran the lab now on site for almost a little over 10 years now. So, but
lots of great information and strategy, Scott. What about ag tech? Do you feel like ag tech, how is it affecting the dairy industry in a positive and negative way?
well, as far as technology, we a lot of things we've talked about today is we talk about our people and management, and some of the things that are hard to manage on these places, and we talk about that back breaking, still hard work ethic that we still need in certain areas. uh, Technology with robotic milking, and some of the things coming up, and some of the things not just coming up that are being implemented today. That's come a long ways, and it's helping bridge some of those labor areas. We're not too much. We have some technology from our feed software and our cow software, and but as far as the parlor, I keep it pretty simple at this point. I just have takeoffs, automatic takeoffs. We milk 3 times a day, and I don't have any other monitoring systems, but I'm looking at some that are interesting. I just haven't seen how, for us as at this farm, how the return comes back to us other than putting a lot of money in it. And I think all those questions, or that question for me, is starting to get answered more and more. So it's becoming, to summarize technology today, it's helped alleviate some of the people management, and it's helping some of these systems run better, even from heat detection to rumination monitoring, those type of things. Now, I don't use those things, but I have very well respected dairies that are using it. But for me, it just hasn't been a fit yet. But if we win, or if we do another greenside dairy, there'll be some more technology implemented when we do that. And I think the rotaries are a little bit they're a little bit more friendlier to technology. Like I said, when one thing about our parallels is to that creates or drives milk or parlor efficiency is cow flow. And how many cows, how many turns you're going to turn per hour is dictated by the flow and the movement of the cow, which is dictated by how that person moves. Well, on a rotary, we can take that aspect of management out of the way and actually bring the cow to the person. So that's a big deal. So that would probably be the route that I would take on my next project, would be a rotary.
So you've got the tech on the farm. What about like social media or platforms like dairyproducer.com providing information? Do you feel like you're getting a swift access to information and a pulse of what's happening? Is this a benefit at all?
Yeah, I think being able to access some of that and listen to some of the guys that are in the trenches and not just talking about how to manage a dairy, but they're actually doing it. I think that carries a lot of merit and be able to, we don't know all those people, so being able to bridge that and focus on that as from a platform standpoint can help us all be better coaches and managers.
So final question, Scott. How can the US and Canadian dairy industry work together better?
Well, I don't want to make too many people upset about this, but I think first and foremost, we'd have to start with both sides of the border on our government. And I'm not sure that that's in a place where we're mostly going to benefit, especially in the sector that we're in. But I think in any industry, whether we're just across the border from each other or across the pond from each other, I think all of us can find different ways to be successful and to make money. And I think if we could be able to use platforms like this one to see and hear what other people are doing. There's always stuff we can learn. We're learning every day, and being able to be exposed to that would be fantastic. And being that we're just across the border from Canada, I think that there's definitely some benefits there by being able to do that. From managing practices, feed buying practices, product, uh, where you sell your product, how you promote it, all those things.
It's a really good recap today, Scott. We appreciate you joining us on Dairy TV.
No, no problem. I'm glad to be here.
This was Scott Blevins from Wiese Brothers.